I wanted to do a quick little garden tour here. Right here, we're looking at what is essentially a pumpkin patch. Basically, we have jack-o'-lantern pumpkins and then also little mini pumpkins. And we only started this about a couple months ago, I want to say, maybe a month and a half. And it's just completely exploded, this bed that we've put them in here. So this will be really exciting and really fun for around Halloween and later into the fall. I actually just noticed so many flowers here, and even a little pumpkin here. So this bed has pretty much been a success. We were dealing very badly with cucumber worms, and so before planting this bed, we really researched how to get rid of those, and luckily it doesn't seem as though the cucumber moths or cucumber worms have, or any bugs in particular, have been affecting this bed. You'll notice here that there is this discoloration of some leaves, and actually this powdery mildew on the leaves on this side of the bed. So we're working on that. We recently bought a treatment for this powdery mildew here, and we'll be making sure that none of the other leaves get that affliction, because that wouldn't be great. We dealt with the pest, but now we have to deal with the fungus. But hopefully this bed will hold up and we won't have as many issues as we saw later on, earlier in the summer. So we'll just take a short walk over here and actually look at the other beds. Now, right here is sort of this craziness, and a better view would be from this side, because this is a trellis, and on this trellis we have a few different types of beans growing. So a closer look here might be hard to notice, and honestly it's difficult for me to find them, but there's definitely beans growing in this bed, or I guess I should say on these vines here. And in fact, there are different color beans, so those were kind of a green one, and then down here we also have this purple variety. I can't remember exactly all the types of beans we got here, but I just noticed a little ladybug right here. So, and there's a bean flower right there, a little white one. There are quite a ton here. So this is basically our bean bed. A ton of different varieties. I can't remember them all off the top of my head, but definitely some interesting ones, like the purple one we saw there. Unfortunately, the bed is being invaded by this, which I believe is a cantaloupe. It's got this massive vine here, and then just completely is taking over. I think it's a cantaloupe, but I really don't know. It's just the leaves are huge here, and they're just kind of absolutely walloping this bed. Here is our root vegetable bed. So this is carrot right here. I think it's a few different types of carrot, but as I mentioned, just this massive cantaloupe, I want to say. I think it's a cantaloupe. I honestly don't know what else it would be. Maybe a type of squash, but I could have sworn it was cantaloupe. Just crazy. And then look at these bean flowers here. So these aren't really for eating fresh. These aren't green bean or peas. These are like true beans, and you would dry them to eat them. So a lot of fun watching these grow, and I actually tried a small handful of these beans recently. I want to say it was like a lighter purple variety, and they're really, really good. So it is fun. I mean, it would be very time consuming to grow enough to have a full meal, but it was just fun trying different bean types, and it does seem like they flower at different times, because I've just noticed these purple ones starting up, and they weren't growing at all earlier in the season. So moving on from the beans, though, those can be distracting. As I mentioned, carrots, and we even have ginger growing here now. This is just from a root that we got at the store, but it's always fun to grow ginger because if you ever need any, you can just dig it up, and here it is growing in this root vegetable bed. And you'll see further back we have beets. I haven't really checked on them in a while. I'm going to try to get in here. So these are our beets. They're, I think, the mammoth variety. I'm trying to see if I can get a going to look at. You can tell that they're in there. Maybe not the biggest beets, but they're definitely trying to grow. I think it's a little bit, maybe I planted them a bit early, but those are the beets. You can tell by the tops as well. Moving along here, this is sort of the hard to describe bed. Basically, this was supposed to be, here, let me zoom out a bit. This was supposed to be tomatoes, and they had their trellis, kind of an arch here as well. This is essentially tomatoes. You can see we still have some, but the only tomatoes that really grew were kind of the yellow cherry tomato variety. I was trying to grow like a woolly tomato here. It didn't really work out. I think I realized this year that tomatoes need a lot of space from each other to grow very efficiently, just because they grow massive. You can see this tomato is just outgrowing this 8-foot tall trellis. So I think next time I definitely not grow in such a density or such a high density for these tomatoes, but still we're getting flowers. It's just kind of, they're all over the place, these little yellow ones mostly, but yeah, those are the tomatoes. And then we also have some watermelon just kind of randomly growing here on this trellis as well. So this is kind of the nonsense bed where all this random stuff is growing. And then further inside the bed here, this is okra here with a nice pretty yellow flower. Just saw one earlier. You might be able to see the okra fruit right here, right there. Okra has been really fun. I haven't really been able to eat it just because I can't find it in time, and it gets woody. Like, that one's too big to eat at this point. You have to really get them when they're smaller. And then down here, this has been a fun one. This is a pepper, a ghost pepper. I don't see any on here right now, but this was fun making really hot sauces with. Sort of a nicer pepper exists over here. This has been a really nice one this year. This is the jalapeno. Always an excellent member of the garden. And there's some fruit on there now. So this one is sort of in that tomato. Basically, minus the okra, really. This was sort of the nightshade bed, and it kind of exploded like that, and then somehow watermelon got involved at the top. And then this one, we recently just picked them. This was our eggplant plant here. We got a nice eggplant down there, and a few more in here. Back there, we have one. So this was our eggplant, and this has been one of the best plants I would say in the garden. It's just an Ichiban eggplant variety, so it's not going to get to be those really big eggplants. It's just kind of the smaller, skinnier ones for what I like to use them for, is like in a curry or something like that. Really nice plant. If I plant anything again, definitely be eggplant at the top of the list. Right here next to the eggplant, another nightshade. So this is, like I said, kind of a nightshade area. This is just a little red chili pepper plant. So that's about as big as they got, growing them here. But yeah, so you can just tell that that's this plant, and then just completely overshadowing it is this eggplant. So definitely not enough space. That's one thing I need to work on, is growing either fewer plants or just spacing them out a lot better by having more beds. And then I wanted to also show you the kind of the really fun one that I never really grew before, which was the ground cherries. I don't really know what's happening at this point in the season. The leaves very soft, almost velvety, but have kind of this white pattern on them. Doesn't look great, but check it out. So there's just these little fruits, and they're little almost tomatillo looking like husks all over these plants here. So you can just see them, and when they get a little bit more ripe, they turn kind of yellowish and fall off. And then inside we actually have the fruit. So kind of just peel it open, and these are smaller than the ones that you can get at the store. They definitely don't look as yellow as the ones you get at the store. But let me try it here. Yeah, it's pretty good. Could be a little bit sweeter. Definitely a little bit acidic, but and this is ground cherries that you can find at Sprouts or Whole Foods. And it is a nightshade plant here. You can tell by the leaves and its resemblance to tomatillo. So this has been kind of a fun one to grow. I didn't realize it would be so invasive, basically. If you look around here, there's quite a lot of that. This one on the end has been the most proficient, just because of the amount of fruit that it's put on and just basically dropped everywhere. If you just look under this plant, you'll just find an incredible amount of all these little, what I like to think of them as like little candies. Oops. Just in this wrapper here. So it's almost like an Easter egg hunt looking for these. I'm hoping that maybe some animals would like to eat this, or maybe I could make a jam or something, but it's just a lot of these, and look like that. More fun than tomatillo, more appetizing than tomatillo for me, just because I could eat them raw. This is what that ground cherry flower looks like, and it also goes by the name huskberry or husk cherry, I think. So that's that. And what else do we want to look at? Let's just take a look here. So this is a tomato falling over on us, but behind that, oops, yeah, it's really, really messy over here. So this here is mugwort. This plant here, Artemisia vulgaris. This is a medicinal, of course, but it's fun to grow in the garden. And at some point I'm going to actually pull this out and dry it, like hang it somewhere to dry. But basically right now it's kind of just blending in with the foliage. Growing next to it, if I can move all this stuff out of the way, growing next to the mugwort. Oops. Yeah, these are really tangled up. I'll just leave that. Everything's all over itself. We have this skullcap here growing next to the mugwort, and of course it's growing sort of around other things, but you can identify it based on these little flowers here. So that is our skullcap. And this one could probably do with being picked by now and pulled out. But that is the skullcap. And that's the mugwort. And then next to both of those is this, which I think is pretty cool. It's something I've never grown before, and something I've always wanted to grow. Wow. Yeah, just smelling my hands after touching that is crazy. So this is epazote. It's sort of like, I don't know, to me it almost smells like burnt rubber. It smells very industrial or synthetic, but this is supposedly something that was traditionally added to beans or Mesoamerican cuisine, and I think the Nahuatl word for it translates to skunk sweat, and it smells very, very not great, but I've added it to soups just because I have so much. It's kind of gone to seed here, and it tastes like, I don't know, almost like a like a mint, but like a skunkier earthier, smellier mint, I guess. It's hard to describe, but definitely recommend growing it to try it. It's really impossible to find fresh, and I've dried it, and now I'm going to have it in my spice collection. But yeah, that's just a fun little native herb there. What else can we look at? This is up here, so those are all kind of growing at the bottom of the bed. If we look up, we have this right here, which is one of my all-time favorites to grow. Yeah, making sure this is what that is. Yeah, so this is Clipdaga, or Leonotis neptifolia. There's another name for it. It's not the wild daga, it's Clipdaga. And here's a better plant example. And yeah, this is just my favorite because it almost looks like something out of Dr. Seuss, because you'll kind of get this nondescript mint-looking plant with a square stem throughout the season, and then towards the end here, we're getting this flower stalk, and that just looks incredible to me. But just wait, because it'll get these beautiful orange little flowers sticking out of there. I just knocked a leaf off, actually. And this is something that you can make a tea out of. It's used medicinally, basically. But it's also very fun to look at in the garden because it grows so wacky tall and just leans over and flops over everywhere, really. So that is the Clipdaga. And then I didn't expect this one to be so tall, but this is chia, just from, I think, seeds that I had, that I bought to eat. I just sprinkled some in the garden to see what would happen. Still hasn't flowered yet, so I'm kind of excited. I've never actually harvested chia seeds before, so that should be really fun. That's a really big plant, though, or a stand of chia. Like I said, grand cherry is pretty invasive here in terms of the garden bed. It's just taken over quite a bit. One that I completely skipped over here is just this basil. I actually had somebody come by a few weeks ago and just take some, just because we have so much and don't really know what to do with it. It's just the Genovese basil, quite a bit of it. It's super tall. I haven't really trimmed it or pruned it at all. We just take it as we need it, but we don't really need it, so it's just grown crazy here. Trying to think. That one smells really good. Trying to think of what else I can show you. We looked at the pumpkins. If we go around the side of the bed here, we do have some stuff growing in the back. So some cantaloupe is growing just from seeds that were thrown out from a melon we ate earlier in the season, and that is growing here. So this is actually a cantaloupe, just store variety, essentially. And that's growing all on its own. Of course, we sprayed it for pesticides to make sure sprayed it with pesticides to make sure that nothing would come along and eat it, because we were having such a big issue with that with our melons, cantaloupe, squash. We really didn't get any squash or melons this season because of those cucumber beetles I was talking about. So knowing that this guy is doing okay is good. And of course, I'll just keep spraying for those. On this side of the arch are more, I think, cantaloupe. I think this is the one that goes all the way over there. I think this is cantaloupe. I'm not sure the type of squash. I guess I should find out soon. I don't think those are any female flowers yet, but I'm so interested to know what that is because it definitely took over. See? So we have, this is that plant, the mysterious melon. And it's absolutely wrangling down this Clipdaga here, which is so unfortunate, but it still has those flower spikes. So, yeah, right now the garden's an absolute mess. Things are just in disarray, growing over themselves and growing super tall. But maybe this will teach me not to plant so many things on top of themselves and thinking that they won't grow massive, because that is something I needed to learn. But very excited for these carrots, and super excited for these pumpkins. So stay tuned and we'll take a look at how these pumpkins do later on.